Alright, so we should have, on your warm-up, you should have put operation notes. Alright, we're going to be taking notes over different types of operations. Now, operations, alright, just means what kind of action we're doing, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. All of those are operations. Okay? We're going to be talking about not just simple addition, simple subtraction. We're going to be talking about what happens when you throw negatives into that mix. Okay? So, write down what I write. Save it. Hold on to it. All right, we're gonna work on it a little bit and then practice. Okay? So, the first operation that I want to talk about is the easiest, and that is addition. Alright, now, you guys know how to add numbers. You've been doing it since you were in like second grade, so that shouldn't be an issue. But something is going to be a little bit different this time. Now we're going to be adding positive and negative numbers. Okay? So we've got to start taking note of whether the numbers are positive and negative, all right, when we're adding them. Okay? So if I'm adding two numbers, first thing I want to look to see is if the signs are the same. So, if signs are the same, sorry for my handwriting. If the signs are the same, you add and keep that sign. Alright? So, go ahead and write that down. What that means is, if I take a positive number, say a positive 1, well here I won't even put the plus sign, we'll just say positive 1 plus a positive 3. Well, the signs are the same because they are both positive numbers. So I add them and get 4, and my answer is going to remain positive. The flip side, the other thing that could happen, is if I got negative 1 plus negative 3, right? First thing I notice is that the signs are the same. I have a negative plus a negative. When that happens, up here, you add and keep the sign. 1 plus 3 is still 4. Since the signs are the same, we keep the sign right there. So adding negatives together is pretty simple if the signs are the same. Alright? If signs are the same, you add them, keep the sign. Any questions over that? Okay. Let's do some examples. Alright, 3 plus 2. 5. That's easy. Alright. Positive plus positive gives you positive 5. You've been doing that since second grade. Negative 4 plus negative 1.
Negative 5.
Negative 5. We add them, keep the sign. Negative 10 plus negative 8. Negative 18. Negative 100 plus negative 1. Negative. They're both negative, so we have to keep that sign. Alright, that's pretty simple, right? Any questions over that? Okay. Now, that's addition if the signs are the same. Next thing is if the signs are different. Now this is where I start to lose people generally. Okay? If the signs are different. If the signs are different, we are going to subtract them and keep the larger number sign. And I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. But if the signs are different, we subtract and keep the larger number sign. Of all the operations last year, this is the one that people struggled with the most. If the signs are different, you subtract and keep the larger number sign. Alright, so let me show you an example. If I have 5 plus a negative 3. Alright. Signs are different. We have a positive and a negative, so we're going to subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. My larger number was 5, so my answer is positive. That's right. Now, if I had the same problem, it was negative 5 plus a positive 3. Signs are opposite, so I subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. My larger number was 5. It was a negative, so now my answer is a negative.
So it's just kind of like subtracting.
It is subtracting, but you've got to keep track of your signs. All right. So, if we wanted to do a bunch of examples, we could say negative 10 plus 8, negative 12 plus 4. Negative 5 plus 10, and 100 plus a negative 1. Okay, so let's go through a bunch of these examples real quick. Negative 10 plus 8. We've got different signs, so we subtract. What does that get when you subtract? 2. The larger number was 10, which was a negative, so my answer is a negative. Alright, negative 12 plus 4, we subtract, we get 8. The larger number was 12, it was a negative, so my answer is negative. Negative 5 plus 10, signs are different, so I subtract and get 5. Larger number was 10, it was a positive, so my answer is positive. 100 plus negative 1. Different signs, so we subtract and get 99. Larger number was positive, so my answer stays positive. Is that too difficult? This is the number one operation that people mess up on. Every time. For some reason, this just gets you guys. I don't know why. Alright? Hopefully, we'll nip it in the bud. Yes?
Wouldn't the positive number be more?
What?
Wouldn't the positive number be more?
I'm not talking about overall value. I'm talking about the number itself. Alright? So, Grant asked if... for the video. Grant asked if the positive number should always be greater than the negative number, and that's true with value. But when we're talking about whether or not the answer is positive or negative, we're just looking at which number is further away from 0. So whichever number is just the bigger number will take its sign. Okay? You're right, though. Positive numbers are always technically bigger than the negatives. Okay, so that's addition. All right? Any difficulty on addition? Okay, if you understand addition, hopefully subtraction shouldn't be too hard. Alright? These are the rules for subtraction, so you need to start a different section for subtraction. These are your rules for subtracting positive and negative numbers. What? You can't see that? What about it? You can't see the word subtract really big right there? Okay. When you subtract, guess what? I'm not going to make you do that. You don't have to subtract. The rules that we're going to use for subtraction. Change the subtraction sign to addition. I can't fit that on there. Addition. Change the subtract to addition. And this is the big step. You cannot forget this part. flip the sign. It's right after it. Alright, I know that doesn't make sense to you right now. I'm about to show you some examples. Alright. But we're going to change the subtraction to addition by flipping the sign right afterwards. Okay? Alright, let me show you what I'm talking about. If I have 3 minus 1, this is the same thing as saying 3 plus a negative 1. So rather than saying 3 minus 1, I'm going to change it to 3 plus a negative 1. Now I can go back to my addition rules. The number one mistake that's made, and this is made all the time, alright, is someone will say, oh, well, I just changed the subtraction to plus and I'm good. You've got to flip the sign afterwards. If you don't, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay? Another example would be, let's say, negative 5 minus a negative 2. I'm going to change my subtraction to addition and flip the sign afterwards. So instead of a negative 2, now I'm going to have a positive 2. So now instead of negative 5 minus a negative 2, it's negative 5 plus a positive 2. You see what we're doing here? This way, if you can remember to do this, you don't have to learn rules for subtraction. You just got to learn those rules for addition. But you've got to know how to change the signs. Alright? So, let me do a couple examples here. Let's just say 10 minus 3, 4 minus a negative 2, negative 3 minus 2, 0 minus a negative 1. Okay? Alright. Instead of 10 minus 3, I want 10 plus a negative 3. Alright, so here I'll even do it underneath. That becomes 10 plus a negative 3. 4 minus a negative 2 becomes 4 plus a positive 2. Negative 3 minus 2 becomes negative 3 plus a negative 2. 0 minus negative 1 becomes 0 plus a positive 1. Does everybody see how that works? Alright. I know this is a concept you've never seen before. Alright. I know it may not make sense. Just trust me, it works. It saves you from having to learn even more rules. Okay? So, that's how we're going to deal with subtraction. We're going to change it to addition and just use our addition rules. So, just for fun, 10 plus a negative 3. Signs are different, so we subtract and get a 7. The larger number was positive, so my answer is positive. 4 plus 2. It's just 6. Both of them were positive, so we add and keep the sign. Negative 3 plus negative 2. Signs are the same, so we keep the sign and add and get negative 5. 0 plus 1 is just 1. See how that works? Alright. That is addition and subtraction. Which brings us to multiplication. And this is a different section. And division. Now, when I bring up multiplication and division, I always get nervous because you guys have a tendency of applying your rules that we just learned for addition and subtraction. You apply them to multiplication and division. Or, you apply the rules for multiplication and division to adding and subtracting. These are very different things. Alright? The rules for addition and subtraction are completely different than the rules for multiplication and division. We've got to know the difference. We cannot get them confused. Alright? Last year's 7th graders, and even the 8th graders, had very low scores on the STAR test on this subject matter right here because they kept getting them mixed around. I probably covered this exact lesson 10 times last year. And that's not an exaggeration. Literally, I did this 10 times. Alright, so let's get this learned at the very beginning. The rules that we just learned for addition and subtraction are completely different. Okay? When you multiply and divide, you're going to multiply and divide the same as always. Same way you've always done it. Yeah. All right. The way that it works with positive and negative numbers, and this is the big part of it. If the signs are the same, your answer is a positive. If your signs are the same, your answer is positive. If the signs are different, your answer is negative. That's it. Those are your rules. The problem that comes up is these rules are so simple that you want to apply them to subtraction and addition, but you can't. Okay? Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. I'll give you a little bit of time to copy this down. If signs are the same, your answer is positive. If signs are different, your answer is negative. An example of this. 3 times 2 is 6, right? As always. Negative 3 times negative 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Both of them are negative, so my answer is now a positive. The signs were the same. Now, negative 3 times a positive 2. 3 times 2 is still 6. My signs are different this time, so my answer is a negative. If I had a positive 3 times a negative 2, 3 times 2 is 6. The signs are different, so my answer is negative. When the signs are the same, you get a positive. When the signs are different, you get a negative. It's that easy. All right? But I can't stress this enough. I'm going to say it over and over and over. This does not work for addition. If you try that rule on addition, you're going to get them wrong. Okay? I don't know. I can't even count how many times I had people fail quizzes and tests because they try to use this rule on addition. It doesn't work. Alright? Now, let's do some examples here. Let's say 15 divided by negative 5. Let's say negative 3 times negative 10. And 20, or negative 20 divided by positive 4, and negative 15 divided by negative 3. Okay. 15 divided by negative 5. What's 15 divided by 5? Are their signs different or the same? They're different, so my answer is a negative. Alright? Negative 3 times negative 10. What's 3 times 10? Are the signs different or the same? They're the same, so my answer is positive. Negative 20 divided by 4. What's 20 divided by 4? Are the signs different or the same? Different, so my answer is negative. Alright? And then negative 15 divided by negative 3. What's 15 divided by 3? 5. Are the signs different or the same? They're the same, so my answer is positive. That's the rules. Not too difficult. Now, let's try a whole bunch of different ones. Let's say well, let me do it in yellow, make it easier to see. Let's say 5 plus a negative 3. Let's say negative 2 minus negative 1. Let's say 15 divided by, oh, not 15, let's say 14 divided by a negative 2. 6 minus 1. 3 times a negative 12. And 1 plus negative 6. Okay, so we're going to go through, we're going to answer every one of these. 5 plus a negative 3. Alright, let's go through our steps. Are the signs the same or different?
Different.
They're different. When they're different, we have to subtract. Alright, 5 minus 3 is 2. Was my larger number positive or negative?
Positive.
Larger number was positive, so my answer stays positive. Negative 2 minus negative 1. Do we do subtraction? No, this becomes negative 2 plus a positive 1. Alright? Are the signs different or the same? Different, so we subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. Is my larger number positive or negative? Negative. 14 divided by negative 2. What's 14 divided by 2? 7. Are the signs the same or different? Different, so it's a negative 7. 6 minus 1. I could probably do that in your head. I'm glad you can do that. But let's go ahead and say 6 plus a negative 1. Get used to doing that. Alright, signs are the difference, so now we subtract. The larger number is positive, so we keep the positive sign. Alright. 3 times negative 12. What's 3 times 12? 36. The signs are different, so the answer is negative. And then finally, 1 plus negative 6. Signs are different, so we subtract and get 5. The larger number is negative, so the answer is negative. Okay. Those are all of our operations dealing with positive and negative numbers. Now, eventually, we're going to throw some decimals and fractions in there, but for now, we've just got to learn our rules here. All right, any questions?